So it appears that Matt Gaetz is actually in big trouble on two fronts. Now, as you guys know, it is alleged against him that he has actually trafficked a 17-year-old girl and had sexual relations with her. And what's happened is Republicans have pretty much almost entirely stayed quiet or have not come out in his defense. And this is as a result of Matt Gaetz being a big pain in the ass for the Republican Party and the Republican establishment because he's incredibly pro-Trump. In fact, do you know why Marjorie Taylor Greene is currently in the House of Representatives? It's because of Matt Gaetz. He's the one who endorsed her, and that was what ultimately propelled her to getting that win. So he's actually the reason why. So this headline reads, Republicans quietly say Gaetz's days in Congress are numbered. This is a defiant Representative Matt Gaetz says he has no plans to resign from Congress amid a federal investigation into whether he paid women and a 17-year-old girl for sexual favors. Yet behind the scenes, a growing number of Gaetz's Republican colleagues are predicting his days on Capitol Hill are growing short. Quote, in reality, yes, he won't last long, one member told The Hill on Friday. The forecast seems to be based on some combination of political pragmatism and wishful thinking. And then it gives a paragraph here where it talks about how basically he went over to Wyoming to stage a protest against Liz Cheney, who had, I believe, voted for the impeachment of Donald Trump. And so, he was clearly very open in challenging these Republican establishment people. And so he ended up becoming a big pain in the ass for them. It says former Representative Barbara Comstock, Republican, called this week for Gaetz's removal following the new reports of the Department of Justice's investigation. Quote, this now even more ever, she tweeted, referring to her biting assertion in January that Gaetz should not be a member of Congress. Others are more quietly distancing themselves from the embattled three-term Floridian, with Representative David Valadao, a Republican from California, opting to donate the 2020 campaign contributions he received from Gaetz to an organization that supports the victims of domestic abuse. Most of Gaetz's Republican colleagues have remained silent following the news of the DOJ probe, at least publicly, and GOP lawmakers said that trend will likely continue unless Gaetz is indicted. So basically what this means is he had already alienated pretty much everybody in the Republican Party except for the Trumpers. And it appears that Donald Trump, although he doesn't really have much of a platform now anyways, doesn't really appear that he's even getting much defense from the Trumpsters, like the Trump family and them, although that's kind of common for Trump to kind of backstab people who helped him. But what this shows you is in a larger sort of macro picture, there's a civil war going on right now in the Republican Party between Trump and the Trump supporters, and then people who are more establishment and against Trump. And so what's going on right now is Matt Gaetz is the Trumpster, but those Trumpsters have pissed off a lot of House Republicans. A lot of House Republicans kind of are held by the nuts by Donald Trump because in a lot of these districts, the Republicans are either heavily favoring Trump or that Trump wave can be enough to cost them the election. So they have to, essentially do whatever Trump tells them. But in this kind of a scenario, you can just kind of stay silent or not come out in defense, especially given the heaviness of these allegations. And so that's what's going on. This is the empire, the Republican establishment, saying, haha, fuck you, Matt Gaetz, you're donezo. This heavy allegation has been made against you. We ain't coming to your defense. Fuck you, you asshole. That's essentially what they're doing here. So it's pretty interesting to see because this is basically a result of the Republican Civil War.